There is a weight that many of us carry, though it cannot be seen. It does not rest on our shoulders like a bag or a stone, yet it bends our backs, weakens our steps, and clouds our hearts. It is the burden of expectations. From the moment we are young, the world begins to shape us. Parents, teachers, friends, and society all whisper or sometimes shout what they believe we should become. We are told what success looks like, what happiness should mean, what path is worthy of respect. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to carry their voices inside of us, like stones placed one by one into a bag we never asked to hold. There was once a young man who lived under this weight. He was diligent, obedient, always striving to meet the standards others set for him. If they asked him to climb higher, he climbed. If they told him to run faster, he ran. And though the world applauded him, though people praised his discipline and his accomplishments, inside he felt hollow. The louder the applause grew, the quieter his own voice became. One evening, exhausted after another day of pleasing everyone but himself, the young man wandered to the edge of a quiet lake. He stared at his reflection and for the first time asked a question he had long avoided. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I truly want when no voice tells me what I should desire? The silence of the lake gave no answer, but in that silence, something began to stir within him, a realization that he had never truly lived for himself. He returned home and sat with the old wise man who lived in his village. With tired eyes, he asked, "Why does my heart feel so heavy when I have done everything they wanted? Why do I feel more lost the more I succeed?" The old man looked at him with kindness and replied, "My son, you have been climbing mountains that were never yours to climb. You carry stones that belong to others, and yet it is your back that bends. The weight you feel is not your own. It is the burden of expectations. Freedom will not come from satisfying every voice around you. It will come when you learn to hear your own." The young man sat in silence, his chest rising and falling with slow breaths. For the first time, he considered that life was not about proving himself worthy in the eyes of others, but about honoring the truth within. The days that followed were not easy. When he began to make choices for himself, some were disappointed, some turned away, and the applause that once followed him began to fade. But with each step, the burden on his shoulders grew lighter. For every stone he set down, the expectations of others, the demands that were not his own, he felt strength rising in its place. And in time he discovered a peace he had never known, not the peace of perfection, but the peace of authenticity. Not the joy of pleasing everyone, but the joy of finally being whole. Perhaps you too have felt the weight of expectations, the pressure to be perfect, the demand to succeed, the need to become what others imagine for you. It is a heavy burden, one that steals your voice, your dreams, and your freedom. But hear this: you were not born to live another person's story. You were not created to be the mirror of someone else's desire. The greatest tragedy is not failure in their eyes. It is abandoning yourself in your own. Yes, you may disappoint some. Yes, you may lose the applause. But what you will gain is worth far more than the approval of the crowd. You will gain the quiet strength of living a life that is yours. The burden of expectations can break you if you carry it forever. But if you dare to set it down, you will find that your steps grow lighter, your vision clearer, and your heart finally free.